Welcome to Statesmen, the podcast where we used to explore all 50 states with the 5 senses. If you've come here for history, we're giving you none. We're eulogizing this podcast, so all of this will be our opinion. Goodbyes. Humanity has been saying goodbye for millennia. We say goodbye to our pets when we leave our home. We say goodbye to our guardians and siblings when we leave the nest. We even say goodbye to our loved ones when they move on. Goodbye comes in many forms, both verbal and not. A goodbye can be a warm wave of an arm or the cold turn of a shoulder. We say, see ya, or later, or G2G, or BRB, or even RIP. Today, we lower this coffin into the ground and say goodbye in the Statesmen Rest In podcast.
Here come them dang Statesmen boys again.
I'm your elder statesman, Tim Ferrari, along with my junior statesman, Anthony Rossi.
Goodbye, statesman. It's been nice. Hope you find your paradise.
And Stuart Highcar.
Is it too late to eulogize? I hope not, because we're going to be doing it all episode. Anthony, didn't know we both had song jokes to start this one off.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking back to how we used to open the show, and my creative and interesting greeting for every episode used to be, "What's up?"
Oh, really?
Really? No way.
It used to be so easy to just roll into a recording because I wouldn't have to think of a shitty joke on the fly, or, even worse, sit up at night the night before, sweating into my phone, just trying.
I'm sorry. So last night you were staring at your phone, staring at the lyrics to Goodbye Stranger, and you were like, which of these one words am I going to change? This is a hard task.
Exactly, and only one of them started with an S.
That's right. How did you ever find? I mean, I completely understand. I'm struggling to remember how I first originally said hello on podcasts. I might have just said hello. I don't know. Tim, you've had the same intro for 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe you'll wake up in the middle of the night saying it in your sleep?
I might. I mean, I do have it muscle memory down. I don't even, if I were to write it down, I don't think I could do it. It'd have to, come out of my mouth.
Mm-hmm. Right. Directly through the pen, as the immortal bard would write.
Right.
You'd have to do a voice to text to preserve it for history.
Dragon software. You guys ever use voice to we don't need to talk about it. This is the last episode. It's crazy. Yeah. We're here. The funeral for statesmen, or the wake, or the celebration of life, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I see I'm the only one who dressed for a funeral today. Camden's wearing a beanie.
Okay, it's cold out. Don't attack Camden. If anything, attack me. I've got a blue shirt on covered in salad dressing. I'm
that's what that is. That's what that is.
Yes, it's Caesar salad dressing, okay? I don't jizz. Come on. I don't jizz, period.
Can we finally start making cum jokes on this podcast?
This is the last episode. We've never done it before, and I think we've bought ourselves enough goodwill with our listeners to make a Caesar salad cum joke once or twice. I don't know. Anthony, you've taken your glasses off, and it seems like you're getting ready to say something quite serious.
No, I honestly took my glasses off because lately during our recordings, I've just gotten so sweaty that my glasses fog up and it's incredibly distracting. And I'm sweating extra hard today because I'm wearing a suit jacket.
Right. But you're not wearing a shirt under it.
Yeah, but I'm wearing 2 heavy gold chains that are are weighing me down.
Right.
But it is 1,000 degrees in my room, and I'm worried about the audio quality. Our first episode ever, the audio quality was pristine, and from then it's been an unwavering triumph of audio thanks to Camden, and I wouldn't dare to change that now on the way out the door.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to necessarily bookend the entire program with 2 nearly unlistenable pieces of audio. No. I love Allie Stark, our greatest first guest ever, and what an episode that was. But I'm sure listening back now, there's a lot of arguing and a lot of scratchy fans in the background. And I'm not talking about those fans at home. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was originally when we sat down, we were like, okay, we're not going to put this out, but then the conversation was just so naturally flowing that we couldn't resist. Allie's just such a gem. We had to get her out in the world.
What a gem. An uncut gem, I believe.
It is the true mark of the audio quality of that first episode, though, that so many people never listened to another episode.
Yeah, for real, though.
But what's incredible about that is that trend continued month after month, year after year, where we would see those listens on our first episode skyrocket. And the amount of people who would go to episode 2, I mean, dismal. What are you doing, guys? Why not jump into a later episode? There's 100 of the damn things. You're going to go with number 1?
Yeah, you just assume it never changed. You assume it never got better at all.
You're going to listen to the pilot of Seinfeld and be like, this isn't for me. Yeah, it gets better. To co-op the phrase, it gets better. Man. Well, I feel incredibly proud of everything that we've done over the last 2.5 years. And what is a funeral or a wake for, if not, kind of our time to pay our respects to the thing that's now dead and rotting in the ground, and not just us, but other folks as well.
Yeah, that's true. And, this podcast has been a podcast about the census, and we would be absolutely remiss if we didn't, go back into the podcast's history and experience it through our 5 senses once again as a monolith of memory.
A monolith of memory. M-O-M. Mom.
Momcast.
That's a good idea. Maybe our next project. Anthony, so what are we going to be doing today? Can you kind of spell out this 5 senses? What are we looking at?
Yeah, absolutely. So instead of turning our senses towards the States, we're instead going to turn them towards the history of our podcast. One of the key things that we're going to be experiencing is an auditory sense. When we listen to some messages that some very nice previous guests have sent in.
That's right.
The show, of course, wouldn't have been nothing, but it would have been trash without our guests.
No, I think you can say nothing. I don't think it would work. I just fundamentally, we do love these episodes where it's just the 4 of us, and of course, I'm counting super producer Camden Stacy on the mic. Camden, you want to give a hello?
Thank you. Hello. Yeah, I already said something when Anthony tried to bash the beanie.
Wow.
But yes, thank you, Stu, for acknowledging I am here.
No problem.
Camden, I am sorry that was a cheap shot earlier. You look sexy.
Thank you.
I don't think he wants to hear that either. Anyway,
a shirtless man in gold chains telling you you're sexy on the final
we're
episode
ending
of the
this
show.
podcast before Camden can bring any suits against Anthony's behavior on this app. But
Hey, I already got one.
Come on, man.
Okay, so what we're going to be doing today, hearing some audio messages that former guests have sent in, and we're also going to sort of explore the memories of the podcast through our own 5 senses. So what do you guys think? Do we want to listen to some voicemails first? Do we want to start with a sense? What are we thinking?
Why don't we start with a sense and just open it up?
Sure. I mean, what sense do we always start with, Tim?
We always start with the smell, of course. The podcast, most sensory experience comes from your smell. You smell around your area. We're smelling around this funeral right now. And wow, smells like flop sweat.
Yeah, damn. Sniffing around the old funeral. I think flop sweat is one of those indelible smells throughout the entire history of this podcast. I can't remember a single record where at the end I wasn't visibly sweaty, like forehead and armpits. And part of that, I think, is the performative aspect of it. But I do think we really hampered ourselves in the Stu studio back when we were working from there. That was a warm room.
That was a warm room. And not to mention, we had to turn off the AC when we were recording most of the time because we didn't have that Camden advanced technology until like midway through the season.
Camden advanced technology. Cat.
Yeah, shout out NS1 from Waves is the plugin that eventually allowed me to bring down all that background noise and allow you to flourish in the Stu studio below 75 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, Camden, you know what's really interesting? The program's called NS1, but FS1 is the network you can watch all of the most exciting single driver races in the United States. Do you watch FS1? Rally cars?
No.
Is Formula One getting really popular in the United States all of a sudden? Like,
No.
I've heard like so many people start talking about Formula
That
One.
was I hope not. That would suck if Formula One. It should probably replace NASCAR in America, but I don't think it should be popular. I get it's better than NASCAR, right? Anthony, you're a racer on the pod. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a racer. I'm very fast on foot. And yeah, I mean, I definitely think that Formula One is interesting. It's not quite as corporate. And let me tell you also, I am excited now. What?
I love that we're talking about Formula One.
Listen, I am
The
excited
smell.
because, I am sad about the show ending. I really am. It is depressing to me. I love coming here every week. I'm not joking right now. But I am excited to have all this extra time for new hobbies. Perhaps we can all meet up weekly and watch Formula One racing.
Yeah, actually,
that's-
perhaps
yeah.
we can. That's a very good idea, Anthony. And I don't want to jump away from your Formula One idea too quickly because it's fantastic. It's Formula #1 to me, baby. But I think we do have to talk about smells of some kind, don't we?
Fine. Okay. Yeah, flop soap was the one that jumps out. We've talked about this previously, but on our July 4th episode, every single person past the halfway mark who came into the area. Yeah, and we can drop the kayfabe now. We can admit that we were recording in the Stu studio. And as people entered the room, past the halfway point, they were visibly disgusted by the smell.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not going to pin it on any of our guests, but
What?
it was there weren't just our smells in that room.
Yeah.
It was a funk fest. There
I
was
am
a lot of
not on
heat.
your side on this. I think we were sitting in the room for 4 hours. It's not the people who came in for 5 minutes at a time's fault. It is on us. Let's talk about a different smell altogether. It's Tim. You remember, of course, burning rubber from Ohio.
Of course.
But wait, burning rubber. I guess we're right back to Formula One
Formula
again.
One.
What do you guys think about a hot start from the line?
You gotta burn out right away so people know you're cool, but you can't start revving too early and get stuck behind the line, wobbling back and forth. That happens to racers.
That's right. If they don't hold the gas pedal exactly at 2, oftentimes their engines will explode at start.
No, the burning rubber was a horrific smell experience, but it was also so unique. I loved it at the same time.
Yeah.
I was very disturbed by it, but it was a raw experience.
But there are a lot of things we smelled on the podcast that I would argue were a very unique experience where I'm like, oh, I'll always be able to identify that smell now because of this podcast. And one of those things I believe was like types of, was it a milk that we did or was it a Kool-Aid? We smelled like cups of something and we managed to like identify each and every one of them. And every time we did that, I was always impressed by the accuracy of the human nose.
It was the Kool-Aid packets, I'm pretty sure.
Right. Yes. Smelling that Kool-Aid dust that would like aerosolize over the cup and cut up your nasal passages like good cocaine.
Yes, I did enjoy all the smell challenges we did on the show. It really put my nose to the test, and I do think we, in our guests, to their credit, were able to guess with pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah.
Anthony, it's important to consider that a lot of those smell challenges you really brought upon yourself. That wasn't a group activity.
True. Right.
There were a lot of things that you were putting into your olfactories that you should not have been.
Yeah, Anthony, a prolific snorter. And I'm not talking about the piggy kind, all right? This guy will go around and snort just about any table salt or spice you have in the cabinet. He doesn't give a fuck if it's mayo or if it's pepper. It's going up his nose.
Hey, it's been a while on the podcast. There hasn't been a stunt snort in quite a bit. What was the last time? I'm trying to recall.
I don't
I don't
remember.
know. You've done something in the past couple of months. I'm sure you've brought.
Yeah, I'm sure you wouldn't let it go too long. But I mean, generally, do we want to move on from smell by just maybe we going around and everyone names a single smell that they remember from the pod?
Yeah.
Sure.
And great. Okay, look, we'll start right here. I think my number one smell is, and this is a very specific one, but it was the smell of like expo markers, because for a long time, my head was like right next to the whiteboard on our wall. And from time to time, I would draw things on there or write things on there, or we'd keep track of how long the episode had been going. And I would sort of just get like a general expo smell from that area. And so I associate that very much with podding. I don't know. Tim, what's your smell, mem?
I think the smell of the Stew studio will stick with me. It's the smell of summer, like pollen stuck in carpet. And,
Yeah.
it's like a warm, familiar, cozy smell that, I don't know, it's like, it's so specific and homely that, I'll always remember that.
I miss that carpet. I'll be honest. I know nobody was a fan of the carpet. I miss it.
No, I liked the carpet a lot, honestly. It was disgusting, but I like carpet.
I love carpet.
Yeah.
Yeah, my place now is just all hardwood floors, and I do miss being able to slide around and give you a zap.
Damn. If I could choose one pet, carpet. Anthony, what's your smell memory?
Okay, this is one that has been with me in the Stew studio and at home as we've recorded across the quarantine from our respective apartments, and that's the smell of my mic screen. Now, I'm not being gross and saying, oh, it's breath. It's actually not, and you would expect it to be after so much time. I'm talking more about the plasticine smell of the top. There's a very specific smell to the screen itself, and it smells kind of good, but it also is just so familiar. I really, I don't have a mic arm anymore since moving, just because I take down and set up my equipment each time we record. And I really get up in this sumbitch now. I smell it every time we're recording. And I'm, whether I'm inhaling during a deep laugh or I'm just, pausing to reflect on the magic that is just is coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, I think you like kind of push your face into the spit cover, the wind guard, like a baby nuzzling to its mother's breast after birth. Like it seems like you are trying to imprint on the mic and the mic back on you.
But that smell is spit. I mean, that smell is spit.
I mean, a little bit, yeah. Anthony's probably
spit.
been kind of spitting into this thing. I mean, we all have, I assume. That's its point.
Yeah, that's what it's for the plosives.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of plosives, here's the guy who cut out so many of them for 2.5 years. Camden, what's a smell you remember from your time being a producer?
I think I'm going to have to go with, and it's also a smell embedded in carpet in a way, but the smell of bleach and Windex and just like sterile cleaning product in that family video in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, on our Wisconsin trip.
CBD sold here.
CBD
sold here. I'd show you guys that sign is currently on the bedroom door in my home so that everyone knows that CBD is sold here.
Nice.
And when I say CBD, I mean CBD's nuts, I suppose.
Nice.
But yeah,
nice, dude.
I definitely remember what you were saying. That place did smell like a murder had taken place in it the last day, and they were trying to clean up.
But yeah, that's something that will stick with me for sure. It's on top of it, being significant to that trip. It's also something that was significant to, and I can only speak for myself, but I feel like all of our childhoods going to video game rental places, Blockbusters, etc. It unearthed that sense memory that I had embedded in me from long ago.
Yeah, from Blockbuster to Rockbusters. We should be in prison for all we've done. But Tim, I think it's probably time we move on to some voicemails, huh?
Yeah, I think we've sniffed enough death. Why don't we, Camden, let's queue up a couple of sweet voicemails.
You got it.
I wanted to give a big thank you to the Statesmen for having me on the show. It was such a fun time. I feel honored and privileged to have spoken to all of you and talk about my home state of Rhode Island. It's really one of the only things on the internet that my mom likes that I've done. So it's really always wonderful to hear her say that. I just wanted to address something from the last time I was on the show. I wanted to clear the air because we talked about DJ Pauly D, who comes from the great state of Rhode Island, and I might have seemed a little lukewarm about him. I didn't know much about the show. I was trying to hide my ignorance. I have since watched 5 seasons, and I have a definitive list for the Statesmen only. It's an exclusive, definitive list of the best characters on Jersey Shore. So here we go. This is my list. Best characters on Jersey Shore. Number 1 has to be JWoww, right?
Oh,
right?
hard
and
disagree.
then, of course, secondly
disagree.
is DJ Pauly D himself. A king,
Fine.
a legend. Hate to see him get mad. Love to see him have fun. All around great guy. Third is Vinny and Snooki.
Vinny,
They're tied. They deserve each other.
fine.
They're kind of the same tier in my eye. And then Dina, we love a meatball. Next is Sammy with her glasses on. And then, of course, Sammy with her glasses off. And then everybody else is at the bottom. Mike and Ronnie are horrible. Horrible. And then, fucking Angelina barely is on my radar. Anyway, thank you guys so much. That was the list. You guys fucking rock. You're going to be sorely missed. We love you. Thank you so much.
Of course, the wonderful Maddie Vergun from the first Rhode Island episode.
Wow. Unbelievable that he went back and watched all of that Jersey Shore just to make that voicemail. But I mean, what do you guys think? Do you agree with that ranking?
Hard disagree. I got to put Pauly D first, Vinny right after, and then Snooki, JWoww, Sammy, independent of Ron, and then
Right.
and then I put Mike and then Ron. And, Dina, I completely forgot about Dina. Put her right in the same level, maybe just under Snooki. No,
Okay.
she would be under JWoww.
Okay.
All right,
on
perfect.
that
Thank
list.
you for letting us know. I was worried you had forgotten about Dina, and I'm sure our listeners were pissed about that. Maddie, what a sweet boy. That was very, very
Yeah,
funny and
thank
nice to
you.
hear from him. Thank you, Maddie. Camden, who's next?
Hey guys, Alan Giles here. You might have heard me on one of the Georgia episodes of The Statesman. And I just wanted to take a moment to say it's been an honor of mine in my career,
right.
in my life, to have been a guest and a friend of the pod for Statesman. It's hard to overstate the impact that this podcast has had on me and the country in general. When the 2016 presidential election happened, like many people, I was confused. I was scared. I just didn't really know what was going on. And to have these 4 come together with the experience and knowledge that they had, I believe they all worked for Obama. I think they were all speechwriters for Obama or something.
That's right. No,
To have them
that's
come
wrong.
and regularly break down these complicated political issues in terms that the layperson like me can understand, it was so helpful. It really helped me cope with what was going on. It really helped me stay politically active and engaged. And I really think that it contributed a lot to what we saw happen in the 2020 election. So I just want to say thank you, Anthony, Camden, Stuart, Tim, Barack, and Blue Wave. And I hope that we can keep writing that all the way to forever into the sunset. Thank you, Statesman. I appreciate everything you've done.
Wow.
Wow, Alan.
Well, Alan, that was the wrong podcast, man.
Yeah, I kind of about halfway through there figured out. I think he was talking about Pod Save America, which I I mean, we get compared to a lot just in terms of success and general likability, but I do think we did more for the political discourse than those guys. One of their names is Jon Favreau, which, I mean, bully him, right?
How many Jon Favreaus do there have to be in the world?
Yeah, and can at least one of them be not famous? Wouldn't that be great?
Alan, that was really touching, and I love to hear from you always. That was so sweet. I love it.
And for our listeners out there, check out Alan's new pod with I believe his fiance, The Bat. It's on the Devil's Daughter network, and they just do like that old improv form where you lay in the dark and do improv just vocally. Apparently, they're doing it on pod now, and from what I hear, it's just as scary as the namesake. Wow, those bats. Thank you, Alan. Do we want to hear another voicemail?
Yeah, here's a short and sweet one that I'm sure you guys will love to hear.
Thank you guys so much for having me on Statesmen. Your podcast was so freaking fun, super educational, I would venture to say, for all involved, and always delicious. And by that, I mean because of the snacks.
Of course, Joelle from the St. Patty's Day episode.
Of course, Joelle got to eat burgers with us for St. Patrick's Day.
She got to eat like burger adjacent items. Like mine was like a big meatball.
Yeah, yours was fucking gross, man.
No, it was great.
We made burgers. Didn't Stu? You made a burger for that. No?
I mean, yeah, you and I made burgers, but Anthony soaked his in like sauce and like popcorn and shit or something. Like,
no, that was a different dish. The popcorn was a different dish.
Why are you always making stuff wet with pasta sauce?
It's a question I've wondered. It's a question I've had for my entire life. When I wake up, I pour myself a bowl of cereal with a nice heaping in portion of pasta sauce, just like Mama used to make.
Marinara.
But Joelle is just such a glowing gem of a human being, just like such a lovely person, just a lovely personality, and lights up a room. And I wish we could have had her back. Just so fantastic and one of the funniest people too.
Absolutely. And Joelle, remember, because we did you such a huge favor bringing you on that episode, you have to invite all three of us out to any lake house you own in the future. That's right. Just how it works.
Same goes to all the Statesman guests, I suppose.
Yes.
You owe us.
I think so. We gave you everything. And what do we ask in return? 2 weekends out of the year, one summer, one winter, at your lake house.
Yeah, and now everybody's exiting the pandemic like pregnant, or they're going to get married. We want to be at the baby showers. We want to be at the bridal showers. We want to be at the weddings.
That's right.
We want to be at the batches.
That's right.
The batches. Yeah, we want to be at the batches. All of them. And they better be at the lake, if you know what I mean. Anyway, Joelle, thank you for giving us a call. We love you very much, and it was nice to see you at my birthday party in the park. How fun was that? Remember that? My God.
That was fun.
Well, do we want to listen to another voicemail, or we want to tackle another sense?
Real quick, I do want to say, at your outdoor birthday party, I vividly remember multiple times out loud saying, I feel fucking crazy right now interacting with people. I just couldn't deal. It was so strange to see people in person, and I'm hopeful now, that'll just be more and more normal going forward.
For the listener at home, Anthony was candy flipping off Molly and acid. He was just throwing around these light sticks, and he would not stop saying, I feel fucking crazy right now. But he was just like a fun presence to have at the party. But Tim, what's the next sense we should tackle?
Let's tackle, it depends on which game you guys would have if who would go first in this slot, I suppose. But I don't know, Stu, how about we talk about the sounds of the podcast?
I mean, the sound segment has been my favorite thing to do over the past 2.5 years, and also the bane of my existence. Doing like book reports every fucking week on like 5 different musical artists from a state was brutal, but also like I learned tons. Like, I don't consider myself like someone who's super musically knowledgeable, but and I do mean knowledgeable about the former Musical.ly app, now TikTok. But now I feel like I really do know so much about the industry, where people are from, like who are the sort of stalwarts of every state. And I don't know, it was a lot of fun. If I had to like pick one thing that remains in my head, like a song that I'll never forget, it's Sugar Shack from Ben Briggs's New Mexico episode.
Hell yeah.
Agreed.
A song that like haunts me, like is so good and so grating as well, like on the ears with I like love it. And anyway, so that's like a sound that will stick with me forever. But Tim, Anthony, I mean, sound-wise, how was the podcast taken in by your sense?
The sound, the music, I always kind of missed. You know, the music I never knew most of the time, so I didn't know the artists, and coming into it blind was really fun and interesting. But I never really went back to any of the music, I won't lie. But I think the sound that I am going to miss the most is the intro. I loved listening to the intro every single time we recorded this podcast. It like got me into the zone, and it's a rad composition of a kind of a lame song.
Whoever did that is very talented.
Yeah, whoever did that is super talented, and they're probably in this call.
I agree with you completely. That theme song like hypes the shit out of me so fast.
And I remember when we were recording it too, and there needed to be just a little bit of extra something, and you recorded the.
Well, I don't know if I did it or if someone else that we'll hear from later might have done it. But look, I don't want to spoil the pod. Anthony, what are the sounds that you're talking about or hearing or thinking about after the pod?
Stu, you always did such a bafflingly good job with the audio segment. I would come in and expect one artist, and you would give us another one. And it was an amazing journey. I genuinely found so much cool music through your segments. You introduced me to so much, or you got me thinking about an artist I hadn't heard in a while and sent me down a rabbit hole of, you know, checking out their stuff and you know, clicking on related artists, and I've found so many great songs. And, you know, if we had thought ahead, it would have been nice to have a Statesmen playlist, but that is frankly work that we're just not going to go back and do.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, man. Like, there's also like 9 or 10 episodes where I was like playing the like theme songs to Jeopardy and like the Indiana Jones theme, and like there's a lot of stuff that might not work in a playlist, but I do have a giant list of music, and the genres are so wide. But Tim, I agree with you. The one thing that was always shocking about the sound segment was like, you'd know maybe one artist in every state, but once you get past that, it's like, who the fuck are these people? Like, how do I connect even one person that someone would know? And finding, while that's great because it reaches you into places you may not know before and hear new sounds, it at the same time is like, I guess this person's from this state. I mean, have you ever heard of them ever? And most of the guests were like, ooh. So, you know, discovery, and that's the dual-bladed sword or the Darth Maul saber of it, you know?
Yes.
Yes. There were a couple more sounds I wanted to shout out specifically. Your voices, all of your voices. Camden, you were relatively quiet throughout most of the podcast in its history. But every time you chime in, you would just drop a bomb, and you would hit us with the fact that we were searching in the ether for, or you would know something off the top of your brain that added to the conversation, or you would come in with a sneaky bomb joke that was just so funny and so ridiculous and so unexpected. And Tim and Stu, I love listening back to the show because of your voices. You guys both have liquid gold voices, and you should be doing ad reads and commercials. I would buy any product you're selling. You have lovely
Anthony,
voices.
Do you think that we should have had ad reads on this show?
Yeah, it would have been nice. We did reach out, plenty to certain companies, to try to get something going. But hey, honestly, fuck it. It's not like we needed to add any to the runtime of our episodes, but I do appreciate your guys' senses of humor in terms of the auditory medium. You guys do things with your voices, and you introduce me to characters with similar voices to yours that make me laugh very hard, and it's just always been such a fun thing to just sit here and record. And this show has I hate my voice in general. I wish I had a different voice, and I'm not digging for anything. Obviously, like
because there's no genie on this call, my friend. Okay,
I hate my voice, but like listening back to the episodes has given me a new appreciation for my voice, even when I'm driving myself nuts. So I do appreciate it on that token, but. Before we move out of this segment, I have to shout out Camden's excellent work throughout. He has cleaned up so many messes in terms of stopping and starting and, people lagging, me dropping out of our calls several times an episode, or he's added so much to each episode through music. I mean, I think one of the single greatest achievements of the show was the hashtag new fave drop.
Yes.
I'm going to miss it so much. I think about it all of the fucking time. It plays in my dreams, and I think it's such a gem.
All right, fine. Let me just, I've got a new fave. Camden?
Hashtag new fave.
Stu's got a new fave.
Recently, I've been all about New Balance sneakers. And that'll be the end of that segment. They're wide, good for a big foot, Anthony. But yeah, I agree. Camden has some serious chops when it comes to making like radio quality shock jock bullshit that like sounds so dumb and so great. Like, what's so embarrassing about, I think, that drop for me is how much time it sounds like I spent on it. Like, when I do it, like, it makes the guest think, like, wow, like, you really, like, worked really hard on this one. That sucks. And I'm like, it took Camden, like, fucking 5 minutes, but cuts me to the core. But I think we should ask, Camden, you've listened to so much here, obviously, and you've done so much heavy lifting. Is there any sound that's going to stay with you as we, move forward?
I would say this podcast has given me like, so it was like whenever there was an opportunity to do like a sound design trick or a music sting or something, it was just Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 sandbox mode where I just had so much room to do whatever I wanted. And I feel like all of those moments, the sound design throughout the 4th of July special, Anthony is taking his jacket off completely.
Just shirtless now.
Shirtless.
We are at a funeral, sir.
It's too hot. It's too hot. It's 1,000 degrees in my room.
We have to keep the body hot, okay? Camden, go on.
Anyway, like the outdoor Foley and the sound design on the 4th of July episode, all the tricks I did on the Christmas episodes, just any opportunity that I had to give underscore or just like further, just give that like layer of suspended disbelief and almost surrealism sometimes to the pod, almost as if it was like Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, but we're talking about states. It was really, even though I knew theoretically how to do that shit before I did it, it was my first time actually just doing it without self-conscience. And each and every one of those little bits, not only will those be like fond memories for me, but I'm gonna come back to every time I want to like remember how I did something stupid for fucking Statesmen podcast. Yeah. So I guess that's my contribution to this sound reminiscence.
I did think of something that I definitely want to include in this segment. The amount of talented musicians that gave us their time throughout the course of this podcast, it is truly remarkable, and we can't tell you how much we appreciate you all. Everybody needs to stay vigilant about Bandcamp Fridays and support all of our music making friends. We'll go down the line and just shout out a bunch of them. Willie Crooks, of course. Of course, our great friends Mohawk and TYGKO and Jamvis and Jake.
Camden as well. Camden Stacy. And of course, Tomblands, the whole group, I suppose.
Can't forget Fraxium.
Fraxium, of course. And Spencer Rose was not a musician when we were recording his Wisconsin episode way back in the day, has since started making music under old hands, and it's a lot of fun to check out.
Yeah, he's got some very fun stuff. Definitely check it out, and really just support any of your local artists who you're interested in over Bandcamp, because they need money, and it costs money to be alive now, so support artists. With that said, should we get into some more voicemails?
Yeah, let's listen to a couple more calls.
Why don't we?
All right, Camden.
The Statesmen. What can I say? I hate to see you go, but I love looking back on your catalog of contributions to the podcasting game. That was so fucking rude. I can't believe I did that in the middle of your send-off. Godspeed and 1,000 blessings, my friends. Can't wait to see what you do next. You can't tell from the sound, but I was using tongue during those kisses.
I feel like
Love you. Bye.
Of course, John Del Vecchio from Pennsylvania, too.
Yes. Wow. John, thank you so much for giving us the call. And of course, everyone listen to John's new podcast where I think he just brings people on and talks about the concept of Adam Sandler.
No, they tell stories about the times they've met him and the times they've interacted. It's such a fun listen. Adam Slander everywhere you get the podcast. And John is just such a great dude. I love him. Really, really funny guy, and maybe the sexiest voicemail we'll receive today.
Yeah, I mean, that kiss was deep, but I don't know. It could... Wet is that was deep, that was wet, but let's see if we can't get deeper and wetter with this next voicemail.
Hey, Statesman, this is Mohawk Johnson here, and I just wanted to say that I would be sad to see you all leave, but I'm not. I've been hoping for this because I want revenge. Because the second Colorado episode ruined my life. The second Colorado episode with Vinnie Thomas ruined my life. Vinnie and Stu were so funny that my wife left me.
No!
And a nasty divorce in order to sleep with Stuart Highcar. And Stuart Highcar was in a relationship and remains in a relationship to this day. She didn't even get to sleep with him. She left me to go sleep with the dude. And she didn't even get to sleep with him.
Wow.
So she wasted my time. And then Stuart, with his faithfulness and his monogamy, ruined and wasted her time. And Vinnie Thomas told a joke that made me chuckle. And I'm not good at differentiating between laugh and pain. Okay? Laugh, pain, go Mohawk, make boom, boom. Uh-oh, stinky in my brain. That is what you all did. Thank you, Statesman.
Wow. Obviously, Mohawk Johnson there. I did not know that the woman holding a wedding ring in her palm who arrived at my home on a rainy night after that Colorado record was, in fact, Mohawk's divorced bride, ex-wife. I turned her away as the prince does in Beauty and the Beast, much expecting to be turned into a beast myself, but all I felt was the beastly energy of monogamy and faithfulness. So that really did pump me up. But Mohawk, I'm so sorry that I turned down having sex with your wife. I should have done it, and I apologize. Man.
Right. That is your bad, Stuart. That's kind of fucked up.
I'm sorry. I don't know what to do. I tried to make the best decision at the time. Now I realized, obviously, no weapons of mass destruction here. It was a mistake. Blowback, season 1.
Mohawk is just the funniest and just is so fucking amazing. On every single episode he was on, he brought something unique and special to the episode and the dynamic, and he was so just fucking fun to play with and talk with. You know, we've had him on a couple different times, and each time has just been so much fun. And there's no one like Mohawk, and #free Mohawk. And of course, we shouted out his music before. You got to listen to it now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you got to listen to the time that we created supervillains and battled them off in a head-to-head bracket with Mohawk. That was so much fun.
What an insane, disastrous episode. I'm so glad we got to have Mohawk on more after that. He's such a sweetie. Yeah.
Especially because we had to record that episode twice. So
we had to. We were forced. We had to do it. Well, thank you for calling in, Mohawk. Camden, who's next?
Hi, this is Elizabeth. I was on the Florida episode of the Statesmen podcast, and I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for having me on that episode. Thank you so much for having this podcast, to be honest. It's been really fun to listen to you guys, despite maybe what you think. I think all of you do a great job of providing entertainment and also providing actual historical facts on states and like learning stuff about each state. Also, I'll be honest, I love that I was the only Floridian in only the Florida episode of the podcast. I mean, I might not have been the only Floridian, but it's fun to brag that I was the only one to do a Florida episode of the Statesmen podcast. So best of luck to all y'all in future projects. I am really going to miss this, listening to you guys. At least we got the backlogs. So again, big thank you to Anthony and Tim and Stuart, and of course the amazing Camden. I wish nothing but the best for you guys. Thanks again so much for having me. It was a delight. Also, I'm very glad that I tried shrimp for the first time in my life on this podcast, and I did not have an allergic reaction. So that's a win-win for me.
That was among the most dangerous things that we've done, aside from smelling gas and burning rubber. Exposing a guest to shellfish when they've never had it.
Wow, I didn't realize that. I don't think I would have made shrimp if I knew the danger.
I think on the episode, we definitely went over the pros and cons of her eating shrimp, and I think we all as a team kind of decided it would be best for the show if she did eat the shrimp.
Well, we David Dobrik'd it, and we got away.
God, thank God. We did a simple apology video, and 100 stitches later, everything's fixed.
Elizabeth is just the best, such a good person and a good friend. I, of course, had the joy of working with her on Fever Dream show and, during my time at Second City. And she's just such a great person. I love that she is the Florida guest in the books. Many of you may not realize this, but the podcast is ending because we had Pitbull booked and he dropped out on us, and it pissed us off so bad that we just decided to end.
It crushed.
I was good after that. It didn't make any sense to record the podcast if Pitbull was never going to be on it.
No, you talk about a podcast like ours, so often thought of as a national podcast, and to have a guest on who's literally Mr. Worldwide I was going to bust the doors down, and I think it would have made us the #1 podcast on iTunes, as well as the #1 song in the world when we did a remix of Don't Stop the Party. What's that song? Don't stop the party.
I'm not going to back that with music, just so
come on, man. That was struggling. Rest in peace, Pitbull, but of course the state of Florida with a great one. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Wow, should we do another sense, or are we playing another voicemail?
Let's do another sense.
Okay, let's do another sense. Tim, what are we going next?
We're going with taste, of course. And God, so many tastes we've had on this podcast. We've had tastes of victory. We've had tastes of defeat many times in records. But we've also had delicious tastes, sweet tastes and spicy tastes and savory tastes. Stu, what's your favorite thing that you've tasted?
I think over the entire podcast run, I'm trying to think of the different delicious taste. This is not necessarily something that Tim cooked. This is from afterwards. And this is not my favorite thing we cooked, but I just remember being so excited about it. And this was on Grace Kulenschmidt's episode. We did California, and we had her go to Trader Joe's and just get random stuff. And she happened to get the same random stuff that I did. And we both got to eat those little ice cream cones from Trader Joe's. I believe they're called Hold the Cone, which is very funny. And it's what I did until I ate it. And I thought that was a lot of fun. I think out of the things that Tim cooked for us, there is a stew, like this sort of venison stew that I miss greatly. I feel like if I could have had that every winter for most of my life, I would be a strong and hardy man fighting fires right now somewhere. But instead, here I am, the little worm you see before you. Anthony, what about you? What's tasting? What's lighting up your tongue right now?
It is going to be impossible for me to pick just one thing that Tim made. The growth that I charted as we progressed across that first season, and nothing Tim made was outright. Actually, that's not true. There were some things that were outright bad. There were so few, though. There were so few that were outright bad, like the bread that we couldn't even eat on the Kansas episode. We'll live in infamy. The gray potatoes from that episode that made us ill were really bad. But there were so many successes. And one of the most incredible feats you pulled off was making like 100-something pieces of Texas toast, 1 by 1 or 2 by 2, as we prepared for our live show, and we got to share it with everyone. You even had gluten-free bread options. That was really something special and delicious. I also I'll never ever forget our food-based episodes, like the State Patty's Day episode where we would do something crazy. The movies episode where we each came popcorn. With our iteration of popcorn. But also the moments like on the first Oklahoma episode with George Owens, getting Sonic and just eating an insane amount of Sonic and talking with our mouths full. That was ridiculous. Also, the taste that I always associate with this podcast is the taste of sushi, because this podcast was born at Sushi Para. No, not Sushi Para.
Rotary.
This podcast was born at Rotary Sushi, and I will never ever forget that day. You know, that meal. It was iconic. It was so much fun, and we just were cracking up at all these ideas that were running through our heads, and getting little cars of sushi driven up to us, drinking sake, and it was just such a warm and lovely feeling. That really is what this show is all about and has always been about, is that particular feeling. So that taste will always, always, always bring me back.
That's a sweet one. That is
a sweet one.
Tim, do you have any tastes specifically that you remember?
I remember tasting all of the Faygo, or having you guys taste all the Faygo. And Faygo fuck yourself is what the game was called.
Genius.
That was a lot of fun with Henrik Blix.
Yeah, that Faygo was some of it. The cotton candy Faygo, I still remember.
All right, good
fun
flavor. I can't. Well, what was the best flavor of the Faygo?
I think red. I think the one that's just red it's called like Rude Red.
Red Pop.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that there were juggalos on. Well, I can see Anthony shirtless right now with gold chains on, like he's for sure clowned up. But yeah, that was fun.
I also remember that stew that I made for Virginia with Alan Lucas. That stew with the corn and the peas and it was just a hearty meal.
I feel like people don't make enough stews anymore.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that we did not have more than one stew on our podcast on a regular basis.
Yeah, my parents made enough. Thank you very much. Camden, did you get to lick anything up while you were listening in?
I mean, when I was there in person for records in the Stew studio, I'm grateful that Tim made enough for a fifth serving so that I could partake in the taste segments as well. But I think the most memorable tastes for me are definitely going to be, we don't have to harp on it anymore, but the taste of defeat every time that we lost an episode or had to re-record something. But then the taste of the sweet, sweet taste of victory when we finally got our shit together and I was able to finish something and put something out.
True.
Thank God. Yeah, that was defeat and victory all in one delicious little Tootsie Roll.
God, so many great tastes, but what about these great voicemails, Camden?
We need more of them.
So these next two guys, I'm sure you'll recognize, but I'm going to play them one right after the other. We can talk in the middle briefly, but since they had their episode together, I thought it only made sense to play them in succession.
Thank God.
I've had tons of practice at this point with messages, both sentimental and nonsensical. The most recent, I actually said that Mark David Chapman was my dad. I'm just trying to get that same energy that you guys have like managed to capture and put in a bottle, man. You've put a genie in a bottle with every one of these Statesmen releases. I'm going to say this is a body of work. This is a body of art. It's like the Statesmen, long live the Statesmen, first off. It's bittersweet to see it, the light get switched off, but I think it's something too to say, hey, we're going out heroes rather than live long enough to see ourselves become the villains.
That's right. That's
Lord
right.
knows I've been there. Yeah, Tim, Stu, Anthony, Cam, I do have to say for each of you, whether together or independently, the future's always bright. It's so bright. It's like Ray Charles with the damn sunglasses. Like, this is going to be... Wait, was this dude blind? Back to the message. Shit, I'm going to have to, be careful. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for doing it. No, it's Stevie Wonder. That's who it was.
The incomparable Luke Dietz,
Ray.
known professionally as Jersey.
Oh my God. Oh, Jersey, we should have shouted out when we were talking about music, Jersey, of
Absolutely.
course. Also, Chuck Sutton. How can we fucking forget Chuck
Oh,
Sutton?
yes,
And
Chuck.
We gotta shout out Chuck Sutton and all the shit he's doing with
Chuck's
Ableton.
hair right
It's
now? Good
masterwork.
Lord.
Oh my God. Also a double up episode legend. But Luke, thank you so much, man. That was so sweet. Luke's been updating me on the tornadoes in his area right now via Instagram DM.
Cool.
And I'm loving it. It's so cool. It's so great. And just a lovely and silly message. And also such a talented artist, visual artist. Love everything he draws and the graphics that he's able to do. He's so cool, multifaceted talent, and such an interesting guy. I can't wait to see him again.
Absolutely. Camden, can we hear the other half?
Yes, of course. I'm sure you'll recognize Jersey's co-star.
Damn, we've really reached a huge milestone today. It's hard to believe this day would come, but it did. Tim, Stu, Anthony, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, happy birthday, you guys. I know, you probably weren't expecting to hear that from me. Rather than hear your immediate reaction, I'd like to instead share the 5 senses your birthday invokes for me. Right when you learned how to go from walking to running through episode after episode. Who could forget the audible moment we shared as Tim enraged Willie Crooks with an entire Robitussin-themed music festival? Certainly a heart-throbbing pitch for me as well. And on that episode, and many others, one of the most reliably comforting smells I always find myself coming back for, wafted from Anthony's Pulitzer-worthy weed puns. Please, keep doing this.
Hell yeah.
Instead of a birthday cake, I personally think we should revisit the taste of a peanut butter and bacon sandwich together again for old time's sake. But then again, there's nothing that will ever parallel the feeling shortly after that, when Stu enlightened us all with a beloved Tennessean that became involved in child trafficking. Anyways, it really means a lot you guys invited me onto your birthday episode. Let me know if you need a guest for next week's episode, too.
Okay.
Wow.
First off, in attack.
Of course, Jake Doan, known professionally as Ellipsis.
Yes, and let me just say this. Jake's message definitely made it sound as though I introduced you guys to a friend of mine who traffics people in Tennessee. That is not true. I told you about a historical woman who sold orphans. She's dead now. Anthony's flexing on Cam shirtless to show that he could stop the trafficker if they tried to take him, I guess. I don't know. But thank you, Ellipsis, for the message. It was very sweet. This is a birthday celebration of some kind. If every birth must also be a death. Isn't that right, Tim?
I guess, yes. I mean, if we were to consider the rotation of the Earth and its revolution around the sun,
yes,
our former selves will die every year and have been dying every year since the beginning of time.
The ship of Theseus, my boy.
That's right.
Oh, man, Jake, what a certified sweetie. Also a certified golden syrup voice. Love his voice.
Hell yeah. Truly.
And just a great guy to hang out with and someone I'm looking forward to seeing now that I'm double vaxxed, listeners.
Whoa.
Double vaxxed Pfizer gang. Stand up.
Double vax drop. Double vax drop.
Oh, that was good.
Oh, now
Yeah, Camden, do the work if you want to, man. But don't worry about it too much. We're pretty deep into this thing. So do we want to do what? We have 2 more senses left, right?
Yeah, we do. We have to, of course. Oh, what?
But before we move on, one more voicemail.
Oh, definitely. Let's hear it.
Would not want to skip this one. He would get very upset.
This is TYGKO speaking.
Ooh.
Tim, Stu, Anthony, you all are not only a shining, beautiful part of this community, you all have tried your best to make sure that you have always been a welcoming space, a space that is rooted in knowledge and the spread of information, but not pretentious in any way. And I really feel like the Statesmen podcast did exactly what it was here to do. So I'd like to say, mission accomplished, folks. You all rest up, you return to your Pokeballs, you get ready for the next battle. I'm proud of you all.
Wow. Oh, man.
That's it. Cut it, Camden. Cut it. Cut it before I cry.
Wow.
I'm gonna miss y'all. My joint went out.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
that was sweet.
Man, that
what
was so sweet.
Wow.
Fuck.
Kamante, thank you for calling in, and thank you for being such a talented young man that we can now call our friend. Like, it's been so fun, especially over the length of the podcast, watching a couple of people who I only knew as friends sort of become these creative forces and putting out all this stuff. And right now, especially, I mean, Camden's house is the most creative place in Chicago. And if anybody says it's somewhere else, tell them that they don't know the city and they don't know Jack, like the game.
Who's Jack?
Thank you for saying that, Stu.
Jack.
Yeah, shout out Foreclosure.
Sorry.
Foreclosure, where you could hear all of his housemates in one place. Yeah, TYGKO, what a fucking great person. Another dynamite, magnetic personality. Always has a very thoughtful and interesting thing to add to the conversation, but is also just a silly goose. And I love his fucking music. I love his voice. I love his energy. And yeah, somebody again, I'm looking forward to seeing more of after we're escaping from the pandemic.
Okay, here's this is Jack Nicholson telling you where you can put your towel after you shower at his guest house. On the rack.
Nice.
Nice.
Whoa. Jesus Christ.
Thank
Too
you.
good,
Okay.
man. Too
All
good.
right.
You
What do we
scared
want
me.
to do? We got any more voicemails, or do we
we
want to
gotta
move
talk
to
about sites.
Of course.
Wow. Well, the thing that I'm going to miss the most, I'm just going to hit it off right here. I'm going to miss Anthony shirtless on this podcast.
Me too.
Right now.
I didn't know that we could have had this every single week. Think about this when we were doing in-person records. Anthony brings in a guest that we barely know, and he immediately intimidates the hell out of him, stripping down at the table.
And I have gold all over my body too. I have my bracelet on, my ring, 2 necklaces. I look cool. I look like I'm at the beach.
I look cool.
I look cool. I love gold.
Oh,
also,
yes.
here's
2 in a
Jack
row.
Nicholson. Here's Jack Nicholson saying what his favorite communication platform is. I use Slack.
That was okay. That was pretty
Nice,
good.
yeah,
I mean,
that was good.
definitely.
No, I liked it. The energy
yes.
was there.
You could have seen me shirtless every episode, but instead I served you looks
That's right.
week in and week out.
Teasing us episode after episode like the little I don't know. I don't want to call you a tease. These days, do with what your body as you want. Anthony, it's your bod, and it's cool. And Tim, it's your bod. If you want to get shirtless, Camden, shirtless. Maybe we all just get shirtless for the end of this record.
Hey, no pressure for anybody else, but I am having a great time.
I'm actually totally cool. I'm actually cold in my apartment, so I'm going to keep my clothes on. But Stu has taken his shirt off.
Yep.
It's official. Okay. The salad dressing shirt is on the floor.
Yeah.
Stu, due to the I can see Anthony's chest hairs vaguely, but due to the compression over the video call, Stu, your upper torso is perfectly matte the same color.
Oh yeah, Camden, here's the thing. There's no compression going on. That's 4K. I just have the same tone throughout my entire body like a cartoon character.
Excellent.
A single skin, no melanin anywhere. But
great complexion, Stuart. Great complexion.
Thank you. Anthony, your sight segments, let's talk about those. Sight segments have been some of the best parts of the podcast, and then some of the parts where I'm like, what are we doing? What are we looking at right now? What are we seeing? What I feel like we probably shortened the length of the sight segment 100 times throughout the podcast, and every single time on the next episode we would just talk about the smaller amount of slides more to keep the length the same. There was no solution to it. But I think the sight segment is kind of one of my favorite things about this podcast, because it really encapsulates the idea of the show being so much energy and fun and I don't know, stick-to-itiveness, I guess, about maybe some ideas that are failures, or I think the idea of doing a PowerPoint during a podcast makes no sense whatsoever, but we stuck with it for 120 odd episodes, and I think it's awesome. I enjoy the idea of someone on a podcast doing a PowerPoint. That sounds very funny to me now, and I admit when we first went with it, I was like, we might have to find something else to do here, but it grew on me every fucking week, and I learned a lot, and I think you learned a lot too in terms of photoshopping.
Here's a secret, a Statesman secret. I don't have the program Photoshop.
That no shock there.
All of those amazing photo edits were me simply dropping PNGs straight over another image in PowerPoint.
You don't
no
say.
Way.
Wow.
I thought those were real things. There's no way.
Wow, you're telling me that the PNG of Jar Jar Binks at a Jar Jar beach or something is that's not real? You did get better at finding images with transparent backgrounds though, which is a skill.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I would just say, fuck it. And I would just drop one in that was heinous, and, we'd deal with it. And I honestly, those were my favorite ones. Just the ones where I knew the second I hit spacebar on my laptop, I'm going to get so much shit. And I just would know what was coming the next slide. Just relish the reaction every time. I already miss creating those PowerPoints with my devilish energy applied to it, because I truly would do a thorough amount of research. I would do so much research, a lot of research every single week. And you did too. Everybody has done a fair amount of research for the show, and I would be assembling, 8 to 10 slides a week and learning so much about things that I've never even heard of, or learning more about an iconic thing that I've had as a loose image of the state in my mind. But I would also just have these opportunities to just fuck with my friends by throwing in some weird random object or making a pun with a visual style. And, listeners at home, I really appreciate everybody sticking with the podcast, because I loved the experience of listening back, trying to picture what we were looking at based only on what we were saying, because sometimes we just could not come up with the words to describe it, but sometimes we would just paint the picture all over again. And I think, that's something I appreciate so much about this show, is that we all got to experience those together, and the guests always, had something to say, whether it was positive or negative. And I really do. I will miss assembling those slideshows with the intention of getting a laugh out of you guys. But I will not miss doing that amount of research every week. It does take a toll.
Yeah, that's why we needed interns. We should have had interns on day one who'd made all the stuff for us, and then we just present it, like the talent we are.
I'm gonna miss all the quarters that we got to look at, and all the front-facing quarters, especially. Every time Stuart asked who was on the front of the quarter, I laughed. I think that's such a funny stump joke.
It was pretty good. And there were, after about 20 of them, I think there was a moment where I was like, should we still do this? And then it got funny again, which is great. Like most of my content, it is bad for a little while, but keep waiting. Camden, anything that you saw on the podcast that you will miss forever?
I think the only thing more ridiculous than the sight of the final slides in each of Anthony's PowerPoint presentations is the sight of the look on each of the guests' faces when they saw the final slide of each of Anthony's PowerPoint presentations. Because more often than not, it was sheer horror, and the guests just did not know what to do ever when they saw that most of the time.
And Anthony always said, "And can you walk us through this?"
And they never knew what to do about it.
It's a fucking jumbled pile of PNGs and word art. And they're just like, okay. If we had gotten screenshots of everyone's faces when they first saw that on their screen, that would be a coffee table book that I'd pay $100 for.
Yeah, and just the facial expressions in general. Anytime anybody would crack a ridiculous joke, the jaws dropping, the eyes rolling, Camden's furrowed brow, and everybody leaning back, from their mic when somebody hits a groaner. I don't know. There were just so many lovely visual moments from our guests, and of course, just from this group in the chat right now, all of us, like we just looking at your guys' faces during each joke, kind of reading the cues, just been so much fun.
Yeah, seeing Tim laugh at my Jack Nicholson impersonation actually sort of lit up my day. Had a rough one at work, and yet this changes everything. So I'm glad that we could see each other this one last time before the burial. Do we want to, I don't know. We've got one more sense to talk about. We definitely have some more voicemails, right?
Yeah, but Rule of Threes dictates that Camden has to do a Jack Nicholson impression and land on a joke ending in ack.
Okay, yeah, sorry, Camden. That's how comedy works. And I know, normally we barely try and do comedy on this show, but you are asked to rhyme with ack and do a Nicholson impersonation. I know this is tough, but whenever you're ready, I'll just let you do it.
All right. So this is Jack Nicholson when he gets to the front counter of the grocery store, but realizes that he's gotten too much. He's bargained for too much groceries. He can't afford everything that he put in his cart, and so when the cashier asks him if he wants that novelty box of really expensive pastries that was at the top of the display case in the bakery, the boulangerie section at the supermarket, he'll go, right, put it back.
Pretty good. I knew where you were going early on, and I was like, if he doesn't nail this. But unfortunately, absolute bullseye, my friend. So congratulations on that.
I'm high as fuck off of that, and let's ride it right into these voicemails, baby.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Who's next?
Statesmen boys, this is Joe Carriola. I'm calling in just to say how absolutely magical it's been to be in the Yuletide spirit and celebrate my Christmases with you guys for the past 3 years. We've been through so much. We confronted Santa on some of his toxic traits. We witnessed Scrooge coming back to life. We've been to the past. We've been to the present. We've been to the future. Some of us were mixed with AI. Some of us went to bartending school. It's just been a whole thing. I think Tim became a baby at one point.
Tim was a baby.
That was crazy.
Yeah, that's right.
And We witnessed a reindeer crash. We drank Grinch fuel. We drank Constantine Frank. We drank Malort. Let's face it, folks. We drank Malort. And so I just want to reach out and say how much of an absolute treat it's been. And much like finding out that Santa's no longer real, Christmas just won't be the same without you boys anymore.
Aww.
But in all seriousness, guys, I just want to congratulate you on 3 years of truly hilarious content. And I want to thank you for letting me be a part of this amazing show. I truly had so much fun with it, and I can't tell you how many times the show has just made my day and cracked me up, and especially during the pandemic, made me feel a little bit less alone. So, guys, you should be so proud of yourselves, and I will see you next Christmas.
Aww. Wow.
But not on mic.
Oh, wow. What an absolute sweetie.
Never say never.
Yeah, never say never. Anything could happen. We'll record it. I think Joe is one of my favorite guests just because of the level of stupidity that he was willing to participate in. For a lot of folks at home, like a big part of the show has been making up ideas and doing things that are too big to work. And we kind of know that as going into it and sort of just go like, well, we'll see how this goes. And part of the crash and burn aesthetic is very fun. And like, I think, honestly, if I had to tell people to listen to like a couple of episodes, it might be that Christmas trilogy. I really think The Scrooge Child Returns is my favorite thing that we ever put out. I think it's the hardest to listen to. I think it might not be interesting to anyone else, but I've listened to it multiple times since we first released it. And it's just crazy beginning to end. So huge shout out to Joe and The Scrooge Child and big ambitions that crash and burn.
I can't believe we've spent 3 Christmases together. That is just so wild to me. And every Christmas just so well spent, Joe. Thank you so much.
Yeah, 3 Christmases, one short of Reese and Vince. You know, we almost made it. And perhaps, you know, we will reunite in the future. Who knows where this wild world will take us? By the time it's ho-ho season, you know, perhaps we will miss the Scrooge Child so much we have to dive back in completely blind. But I definitely appreciate Joe so much. He's my son. He's a lovely person. And yeah, another winning smile and just a great energy rolled with so much bullshit. Stuck around late after those records when we were hammered drunk to go over, you know, how we were going to justify some of the decisions we made. And tacking on epilogues to that episode just to try to make it make sense. Just a lovely person who makes me laugh super hard. And Malort, an iconic taste for this podcast as well.
That's for sure. Throw that one back to the taste category. Camden, who's next?
Hey, Statesmen, fellas, I don't mean to make the celebration perhaps a bit awkward, but before you guys disband, can somebody please come get me the fuck off of Assateague Island? The ship captain had an asthma attack upon arrival and died. And we had to strike a deal with the local horses that involved a sacrificial limb from the drummer of Good Charlotte. Look, it's been a fucked up year. I don't know how it's been on the mainland, but I'm getting sick and tired of drinking my own recycled piss to stay hydrated. It's by and large the worst festival I've ever been booked for. So thank you, Statesmen. Thank you so much. I'll see you all in hell. This is Will Crooks. Fuck you.
Wow. You know, Will, for a guy who records music for a living, you have a terrible mic quality. I'm going to toss you down a well on that one, man. But, Will, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, Willie Crooks, like, such a cool dude, such an interesting creator, and such a different voice in like a really crowded space right now that like everybody should check out because he's fucking awesome and everything he does is different, completely him, and also goes hard as shit. So like, there's just no failing this young man. Plus, he, has been stuck on that horse island playing with Good Charlotte in Maryland for like a year now, I guess. So that's something.
drinking his own piss. I did truly think that Tim was about to get punched every time he said Robitussin.
Yeah, Tim going, look, I'm sorry, I don't want to do it. But
it was what I had to pitch. I came to the table with that. My portfolio was Robitussin. Who would have thought?
It's very much. Look, and I'm not a guy to explain memes, but you guys ever seen that picture of that crow at stand-up bombing and he looks down at his cards and all the cards say caw and it's like, well, I got nothing else. It was very much like, we don't like your Robitussin jokes. And Tim looked down at his cards and they all said Robitussin. And you got to just shrug and roll with the punches. Well, Will, thank you so much for giving us a call. Excited to hear what you're doing next. I hope you eventually get into the cave with Kenny. He should really give you even more listens and shout outs on stream.
Yeah. Stream Willie Crooks, support Willie Crooks. Just a great guy.
Buy the merch.
Buy the merch. I feel like it all sold out, but still,
fast.
next, keep an eye on the drops. Also, one thing I love about Willie is that the dude says fuck like no one else. Like he's an iconic fuck person, kind of like Samuel L. Jackson,
Joe Pesci.
Like, Joe Pesci. Like he's on that echelon of saying the word fuck.
Yeah.
So shout out to Willie Crooks. And hey, you know what, Willie, from us here at the Statesmen podcast, fuck you back. We love you.
Oh yeah. And before we go, here's a little something for you to put on your next mixtape. Well, we're the Statesmen, and we're here to say that we like to podcast in a major way. We record all the episodes and record the rhymes, and Anthony is not doing this to time. Tim is on the microphone, and Anthony's not wearing a shirt no more.
Nice. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
There's one more voicemail.
Okay.
Hey, fellas, it's me, Caleb George. Just wanted to send a message to you all and say that I love you all very much.
Aww.
And I think you're wonderful, fantastic human beings. And it's been an honor and a pleasure to watch you grow up and be the human beings that you are. And this podcast has just been a joy. I've had the chance to listen to so many episodes and laugh. You all three are incredibly funny people and make me laugh very, very hard. And so I appreciate those. I appreciate you having me on and talk about Texas and huff a little gas. But I really just want to take a moment to say I love all three of you dearly, except for maybe Stuart. But I care about all three of you, but I love two of you. And I just wanted to say I hope you're well. I hope that you continue to do art that makes you laugh. And I'm excited for your journey after the Statesmen to see what you all do and what you pursue in life. But love you again. Hope you're well. I hope one day we'll get to hug. Maybe I'll lick your face and we'll be in person again. But until then, keep doing what you're doing and hope to talk to you soon.
Wow. The Grandmaster Caleb himself.
Truly, that was incredible. What a sweetie. He may not love me, but much like Mohawk's ex-wife, I have a one-sided love for him. Love him dearly. One of our best guests in the live episode and just such a sweet and important person in my life specifically, having moved here. I think I would be such an unfunny dude if I had not met Caleb George when I was 18 for him to be like, hey man, you're kind of funny, but you're not that funny. Like, that really is such an important thing to tell like every white comedian boy at a young age. And instrumental in that. I loved the fact also that he recorded his message so softly, like he was like laying in bed, very like the dim light of a computer on him, and he's whispering over to us his lover. Sort of sweet.
Definite pillow talk vibes.
Thank you, Zane.
I will say, you touched on it before, the Caleb George ego death. This is definitely an important experience in all of our lives. And Caleb George is comedy dad. He taught us so much, and he opened up our world so much. And there's no one else that I would have had a live episode with. He was our golden booking for that event, and we were psyched to work with him again, and we all just love him so dearly and appreciate so much about him and all of the wonderful things he's taught us, not only about comedy but about life. And that message, it hit me right in the heart. I have so much love for him, and I respect him so much, and I can't wait for him to lick my face. Camden, are you sad that he didn't include you in that message?
Not at all. Kind of my own little Caleb George ego death in a way, I guess, that he did not talk about me at all.
You're learning now, aren't you, son?
But no, at the time of the Texas Live episode, he wouldn't have known about me at all. So I don't fault him for that.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he thought you were very talented. And if he knew anything of how much work you put into this podcast, I'm sure you'd be right on the list. He might not love you, but you could at least get up to my level where he appreciates your existence in some way.
I appreciate hearing that, Stu. Thank you.
No problem at all. We'll get you to love this guy, Tim.
Man, listening to Caleb threw me right back into the greenhouse. Ooh, most Mondays in the greenhouse doing improv for 2 hours and 30 minutes. Jesus.
That's right, Loyola Greenhouse, and a place where they should rope it off and put up a plaque.
Yeah, for real. Here lies the 45 Kings.
Dead.
It's so funny when you said, in the greenhouse on a Monday night, doing improv for 2.5 hours. I was like, oh my God, how did we do it? In our youth, we had so much energy to get together for almost 3 hours doing comedy on a weeknight. And I'm like, how the fuck did we do it? And then we're sitting here on a Wednesday night at 8:24 p.m.
Yeah, no, you're right. Man, we're all just college kids at heart, but I'm glad that we had the greatest professor of all, Professor George.
Wow, well, is that all the voice memos?
So, I'll save it for later, but I do have a little bit of a surprise for you guys. But I feel like we should, wrap up the serious format of the podcast and talk about how we feel first.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'll start. This podcast has been the most fun thing that I have contributed to by far. And also one of the most stressful things that I've ever been a part of, truly. Putting ourselves out there week after week and truly bombing on an audio medium and putting it out there for everybody to listen to. Truly hard to do all the time. But oh my God, I love this podcast so much, and I love doing it with you guys so much. And I don't know, just being with you guys, so I'll miss it a lot.
Ooh, what a sweetie. I'm gonna take it from you there, Tim, and also keep it as brief as possible. But yeah, I feel the exact same way. This was, I think, as an adult, my favorite creative endeavor that I've really ever participated in, and I feel really, really proud of what we've produced, and not just the amount of time we were doing it, but the quality of a lot of those episodes. And I also think I agree completely with Tim about the nature of the beast. Not listeners obviously don't get to hear this every week, but whenever we have a guest come on, I sort of try to give them the layout of hey, most of the jokes on this episode are going to be bad. And you need to know right now that it's okay for you to hate the jokes and tell us if the jokes are bad, because part of failing is the fun and part of the train wreck is what you want to see. But you're right. That takes an absolute toll on your performative anxiety. There are so many times where I was I fucked that episode up. And then you listen to it back and you're I was fine. I was totally fine. But just I was so sweaty and tired at the end of it that I was I must have been bad. And the one thing I think I learned from this is that even if you have a particularly bad experience, you have a new one next week, and it's, you got to dust yourself up and keep getting back together. And bombing on this podcast has been one of my favorite things that I've ever done. And I appreciate the time I've had with all three of you young gentlemen, strapping young gentlemen, one shirtless, two not. And it absolutely means the world. I love the podcast. I love you all. And thank you so much for doing this with me.
Camden?
September 2018, Tim acquires my contact information from previous guest, fellow podcaster, and dear friend Sophie Kruger in order for me to consult on a podcast he and a few friends intended on starting. We met for bagels in Lincoln Park one sunny afternoon. The concept was simple. Long form, mostly improvised, interviews, history, geography, states. We anticipate it won't need much editing, Tim said. Just tell us what mics to buy, how to treat a room for sound, and we might need a theme song. Say no more, I reassured Tim. You're in good hands. For I'm a genius, far enough removed from your friend circle so as not to get emotionally invested in this idea, and it won't take much time out of my schedule at all. At that time, I only really knew you guys loosely and parasocially, brushing shoulders with you at parties and catching the occasional 45 Kings show at McGuire Hall. I was called upon often to help with tech and sound stuff at various functions put on by Loyola's comedy community, but didn't really know you guys. But as the podcast grew, so did my friendships with each of you. You eventually gave me a mic, originally just to fact-check topics pertinent to the discourse and correct Stu's deliberate attempts at spreading misinformation.
Well,
but with that permission to speak on pod, it's almost as if you three in the stupid podcast gave me permission to be funny, freeing me from self-conscious to be stupid in a very public and immortal way. And for that, I'll always be grateful. I know now that making any podcast is easy. If you can talk at length about something and have the means to record it, you have a podcast. But making a good podcast is hard work. It's perseverance, it's commitment, it's sheer faith, it's sweat, and it's sleep. I've spent so many late nights on this show, watching the waveforms of your voices rolled slowly across my screen every week. Every episode has been this brilliant, fiery, transcontinental train wreck burning so bright that time after time, I couldn't help but not only continue to stare, but walk right up and dump on it all the gasoline I had. Stu has said this a couple times, but for better or for worse, you three have had a profound, likely semi-permanent effect on my sense of humor. But I can confidently say that it's for the better that I came to know you guys the way that I did, and I hope to have friends and collaborators in the three of you for the rest of my life.
Oh my God.
Thanks to the each of you. Thank you, Statesmen.
Oh, I should have wrote something because that was really nice.
Yeah, that was beautiful, man.
Made
Jesus
me
Christ.
feel bad. All right, and now Anthony's gonna, I guess, just go at it, huh?
What the hell, Camden?
Really bricked by trying to follow that up. Camden, that was goddamn gorgeous, and we could not have done this show without you. We couldn't have done anything without you. And Tim and Stu, I couldn't have done anything without you guys. You know, not only as co-hosts and collaborators, but as friends. The story of Statesmen really is the story of friends old and new, and the story of our friendship, and the story of our creative space. It really is a window into the purest form of magic of our friendship, which is us giving each other a hard time and laughing it off and torturing each other with ridiculous groaners and, you know, doing anything to try to make each other, you know, crack up. And Camden's incredible work has added so much to the, you know, quality of the show and the longevity of the show, but also the creative drive of the show. You know, he added a new dimension to the podcast, and you know, it is true. I didn't know you at all, but, you know, just a couple of times we bumped into each other in college, and now you're one of my really, really close, great friends, and I just feel so immensely lucky to know you. Tim and Stu, the podcast was born from the fact that we finally lived together. And when we moved into our apartment over by the Belmont stop, it was the first time all three of us had lived together at once. And we envisioned it being a Team 10 style household where we were cranking out content and working on sketches. And we would have our desks pushed together with like late night writing sessions. And I am so fucking happy that instead of making a YouTube channel, we made this ridiculous stinky baby of a show. It is something that I am immensely proud of. I think that we are silly, ridiculous dudes who complement each other and push each other and have each other's backs and open each other up to new things and teach each other and prank each other and just add joy and dimension to each other's lives. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt, you're some of my best friends. And you're like brothers to me, all of you. Camden, the fact that you're like a brother to me is incredible. It really shows not only the amount of time that we've been recording, but all the things that we've done together to get to this point. And I can't imagine my life without having... I'm not crying. I just choked on spit. I can't imagine my life without having done this podcast. I am not ready for it to end. I wish we would keep going. I've come to peace with the fact that we're laying it to rest. I'm hopeful that we continue to work together on the next thing, whatever it may be. And I know we will, and we'll find new things that excite us and push us in a different direction and excite us and give us that feeling once again. But the thing that gives me the most peace about moving on from this particular show is that the creative space that we have, that pocket, that warm, glowing energy of humor and silliness and just friendship will never go away. We will have that forever. And the fact that we can look back at this as a body of work is something to be immensely proud of. We've all grown so much through the course of this podcast. We all figured out what to do with our segments, how to change them a million times over, how to strengthen them, how to make new jokes. We've come up with running jokes that have run for a super long time and sustained power. And we've learned and taught each other so much about the place we live and our country, our fucked up, weird mess of a country that also has so much beauty and connection reaching out within it to rise above anything that we hate about it, ultimately. And our guests, we've talked about it so much throughout the course of the show, but our guests, you know, there were people that we've had on that I've known for years. There were people that we've had on that I was meeting for the first time on the day of the podcast. And I truly would not change anything about the show. I think that what we did was give the audience raw vision, like from our own perspectives. Like we just did what we wanted to do, and we took big swings, and we didn't settle to not allow ourselves to try anything. And there are many things that I feel like we could have done if we were keeping the show going, that I am hopeful. You know, for instance, I'd love to do another live show. I'd love to do another Christmas episode. These are things that I have had so many visions for. There were so many special ideas that we're leaving on the table. And I'm not lamenting the fact that the show is over in this form, but I just want to thank you guys for allowing me to be myself on this show. And, you know, whether that's me saying something ridiculous or putting together an image that should be illegal, or just spouting something that is an opinion that I'm forming on the fly, or doing my best to call out something negative that I'm seeing in a state at that time that, you know, I'm really just I'm actively learning about it as I'm speaking about it. You know, those are all things that represent growth in some way for me. And I appreciate you guys for taking that ride and for always being yourselves and doing all of these amazing things that you've done for the show. So thank you.
Well, if there's one thing that I'd like to say, you're welcome. Yeah. I'm glad that we all got to wax a little bit on the way out. But Camden, you said there was some sort of surprise.
Yes. So I'll bet you guys were wondering. We didn't really talk about it at all on pod, but as you guys were moving out of the Stu studio, I showed up on the day you guys were moving out, but it seemed like a little too late. The place was already completely vacant and empty. Nothing on the walls, but that carpet was still there. But in the middle of that carpet, you guys left something behind. The Statesman phone, of course, where we would take calls from various other guests that we've had on. And they had all called into the phone. Anyway, I took the phone because it was too special not for me to for me not to take it and for me to leave it there.
Camden, I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but that was Brad's phone, our last landlord. We left that there for a reason. That was not for you to take.
Sorry, Brad. Well, I plugged it back in and made sure it was dialed into the same number that we had been using to get in touch with guests. And I managed to reach out to a few more people who wanted to say something on our way out.
Whoa. Okay. Well, I don't know who this could possibly be, but let's hear it.
There's quite a few. So bear with us for just a second.
Okay.
Hey, Statesman. It's Rex Rutherford. I'm just dropping by to let you know. I always love you. I always will. You're my favorite podcast, and I'm an alien. You'll never find me. Goodbye.
Okay.
What? No way.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
Officially announced he was an alien. That makes our Nevada, our Area 51 episode a lot more interesting.
Yeah, so he was an alien searching for more aliens.
Rex Rutherford, everyone's favorite part of the New Mexico episode, Roswell. Somebody you never would have thought was an alien. You know, he hated aliens.
Not true.
Shocking reveal.
I think we might have been onto it during the episode.
And look, we didn't drop any secrets in this episode. That was such a gem
Great
on
reveal.
the way out the
Good
door.
Reveal.
Amazing.
Man. Camden, is there anyone else?
Oh, yes.
Oh, God.
Yee-hoo! Hey there, Statesman boys. It's me, Chuck Wagon. That's right. Your listeners probably know my voice from all my random appearances on the pod, or the way that I laugh and say, "Here come them dang Statesman boys again" in the intro. How weird is that? Chuck Wagon, a featured guest on every episode of Statesman. I'm a bit of a statesman myself. Chuck Wagon, more than just a homesteader, a homelander. You guys seen The Boys on Amazon Prime Video? That show rules. Anywho, Chuck Wagon saying goodbye. See you later. Wagon away. Watch the boy.
Wow. Well, Tim, I'm glad that we didn't talk too much about that intro before, because Chuck Wagon, the voice of Statesman.
Right, of course. And Chuck Wagon famously featured on the Lost episode, West Virginia, no guest West Virginia, or what was supposed to be before that.
Yeah, I mean, I scared a guy with my cowboy hat and an accent, or Chuck did. And I'm partially glad that was lost to time.
Yeah.
That was a bomb that did hurt.
He wouldn't re-record with us. After that character, he wouldn't re-record with us.
He wouldn't.
So,
man, well, shout out Chuck Wagon. Camden, I assume, is that everyone?
No, there's 5 more.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, my God. Lots of calls.
Chuck Wagon, officially my second favorite Chuck that we've had on the show.
That's right.
Hey, Statesman.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, this is John Shelby. I'm just calling to let you know I'm still thinking about you guys. Know you're wrapping up. Sorry, just came out of the gas mask. Anyway, just wanted to say bye for the road. And if you're ever in New Jersey, drop me a line.
I'm sorry.
Guess Statesman's going up in smoke.
What is that? The damn angel special technique at the end there.
Oh my God.
Wow, that was John Bong Jovi, I believe is his name, and a character I had forgotten about.
Who is it? John Bong Jovi? That's what his name is, right? Okay.
Yeah, because he likes to smoke, you see.
Right, he likes to smoke weed, right.
I guess so, yeah. Huh. Well, that was a
funny one.
Can't wait to go to a Giants game with John Bong Jovi.
You're getting kicked out, man.
Yeah, you're going to get kicked out. Camden, who's next?
Okay.
What is this? It's funky. Who is it?
Oh, I know who this is.
Damn, what a tasty lick. Hey guys, Chef Ament here. The basis for Pearl Jam. It's been a while, but I missed you guys, and I heard that you were finally ending the podcast. What a shame. It's the most stage time or recorded voice work I've had in many years.
Ooh.
Pearl Jam's doing all right, though. I don't know if you heard, but we're going to be launching Access TV's Long Live the 90s concert series. We're talking guys like Soundgarden, the Black Crowes, and more. If that sounds interesting, come check it out on Access TV. But in the meantime, I'll probably be over here on a D-tuner, messing with my fingerboards or the fretboards on my big-ass neck-through piezo radius bass. This thing's set-in-neck truss rod model. You know what I mean, an active bass with a bolt-on neck. I love this thing, and I'm going to be slapping it silly. With or without the podcast. Shed a tear for Jeff Ament, and I meant to make this recording just a little bit shorter. See ya!
Wow.
Love Jeff.
Not sure why Jeff Ament, the bassist from Pearl Jam, likes the show so much.
Well, I mean, we had him on that one time, and I think once a friend, always a friend with that guy.
Yeah.
Didn't we cold call Jeff Ament?
Yeah, we just got his number and called him, and he picked it up. He was halfway through a bass riff and just had fun with us. I mean, a good guy, obviously. Hope he's doing well with Pearl Jam.
Yeah, I'm just glad he's always playing the bass. That guy just never stops creating and never stops jamming. He was even jamming into the phone. He just doesn't stop.
Always jamming. We love that. Well, Camden, who's jamming next?
Soon to come to your TV.
No.
It's your favorite players return from overseas. So who's the unanimous first overall draft pick in the NBA's eyes? Andrew Caputo's that guy. He can dunk, he can shoot, rebound and reject you. The best player, and it's no surprise. It's A to the N, D, and Y. Caputo. That's right. I'm back. It's been over a year since we last spoke, and wow, what a year it has been. This season I've averaged 30 points, 12 rebounds, 18 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks, and 0 turnovers per game.
Average that.
Real Madrid.
How can you average 0?
I know. My numbers were more impressive on paper last time we spoke, but you have to remember that's before I went pro. The competition is way steeper at this level. Our season isn't technically over, but I just received word from the NBA that they're lowering their minimum age requirements, so I'm technically eligible for the 2021 draft.
Wow.
I fly back today to start meeting with my agent and a few executives from around the league. And before you start worrying about my teammates in Spain, they want me gone. I make them look so bad because they can't keep up with the insane things that I do on the court. And they would rather lose the championship than live another day by shadow. And hey, I get it. But that doesn't mean I'm a bad teammate. It just means I'm too good. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for me to help my career. Our friendship means a lot to me. You boys inspired me to grow up and to take my life and my work seriously. So, as a gesture, I'll make sure I get you boys courtside seats at whatever stadium I play in next year.
Whoa, wow, okay.
Ice towel chains with your favorite Family Guy characters on them.
Oh.
Stu,
well,
that's gotta be James Woods.
No!
Tim, I know you're a Bertram man, the evil Stewie. Camden, you get Connie D'Amico, the mean girl from school.
Yeah.
And Anthony, you get me. That's right. I'm going to be a voice on Family Guy in an episode where it's essentially the plot of Space Jam, but with Family Guy instead of those other cartoons. Negotiations are still ongoing for my price point, but I'm going to bleed Fox dry, baby. Anyway, hope to see you soon. Love you all. Peace. Bye.
All right.
Wow.
The first thing I have to say is Andrew Caputo is sounding more and more like Peter Griffin as he grows up.
Yeah, for
which is
real.
kind of weird.
Wow, yeah, he did grow up significantly since the last time we heard from him. He's actively still going through puberty, and he's going to be playing in the NBA.
I don't want to get in his way.
16, 15?
Yeah, he's definitely a teenager for sure, because when we met him, he was like 10 or something.
He's 16 years old at this point. I remember when I messaged him on his birthday.
You fucking
I really
creep.
hope his mom isn't doing Percocet anymore.
Oh, both of his parents. I mean, does he even need parents at this point? He's making so much money from that European League contract, and now he's coming into the NBA. I bet his parents are going to clean up and he's going to buy him a nice house, but I don't know.
And I don't know if you've checked Bleacher Report lately or ESPN or any of these other apps, maybe even Barstool Sports. Camden.
Okay, weird.
But he is projected to be the unanimous option for the first overall draft pick. So teams are actively tanking to try to get Andrew Caputo now.
Yeah, I've seen that. The Warriors have been recently absolutely just terrible in games, but the few fans who are allowed in the stadium have been chanting Caputo at the end. So they do, at least they know, they understand. I can't wait to see Steph on the court just have no ball time because Caputo's controlling it end to end.
Wow, and you sitting courtside in your James Woods chain.
Yeah, my Family Guy James Woods chain. I can't wait. For the only guest who's willing to give us ice. Well, Camden, is there anyone else maybe ice related in the phone call?
You know it.
Mary, wait, what month is it? April? But then why am I... Oh, I see. Yes, Santa received a letter saying that the Statesmen boys were being very naughty and finally ending the podcast. A shame, if you ask me. Who am I supposed to get blackout drunk with on every Christmas? I suppose my family, my wife, the elves, maybe... You know, I haven't told anyone else this, but I have a mistress.
Whoa.
Mistress Claus, I call her.
Okay.
To be honest, it's my wife, but we sort of have the role play that I'm cheating to energize the sexuality in our relationship.
Okay.
Anyway, love the pod, will miss my boys, have a drink on me. Ho, 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 and a bottle of fun.
What? Was that something that he would say? Ho, 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 and a bottle of... I've never met this guy, so I...
Yeah, no, that is something that he would say. He's probably on a lot of cocaine calling, you know.
That's... I always saw him as such a jolly guy, so these stories you guys tell are just like, they do not match up. I don't know who to believe.
Yeah, I mean, the story, the fantasy and the reality are very, very far apart. He's a terrible man.
If only... Oh... I wish I could take him to Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory to get him remade, but unfortunately, it's not to happen. Well, Santa, R.I.P., I guess. Camden, we have what? One more of these?
One more.
Wow, okay, I'm ready.
Wow.
Hey, Statesman.
Huh? What?
It's your old friend. For legal reasons, I can't announce who I am. But I'm guessing you know it's me.
Oh my.
The gambler.
He's alive.
Why don't you open up the door to the Stu studio so I could say goodbye one last time?
No.
And I mean it. The last time.
What is going on? Was that a threat?
Was that? I don't. Okay, first of all, my friend Jackie Dice is alive, which is terrifying enough. The
Your
second
family
thing
friend.
is,
I should clear that. Family friend.
Family friend, but somebody who does mean a lot to me in my life. But first of all, we should probably call the police. Well, fuck the police. We should probably call some form of community support to warn the current residents of our old apartment that there's a strange man waiting outside of their door.
A person who's walking from the grave.
Yeah,
a shambling
specter.
corpse.
I mean, this man was. I thought he was burned alive in his margarita-themed casino.
What was he listening to in the background? I mean, that was the creepiest thing that I've ever listened to.
It was definitely like Kenny Loggins, or not Kenny Loggins, Kenny
Rogers.
Kenny Rogers, and I slowed down and over the phone, terrifying vibe.
Yeah, really, really disturbing. Also, if you're going to leave someone a voice message, just turn off whatever you're listening to.
Yeah, honestly.
Just have some etiquette.
Although, I mean, maybe he's not in control of the volume. Maybe he's in someone else's car and they're driving him to our apartment. He's a bit of a trickster, Jackie Dice.
I mean, he cheated death, supposedly.
Okay.
Wow. I'm thrown for a loop. That one was really frightening to me.
Yeah. I'm not super happy that we're ending the podcast knowing that Jackie Dice is alive and trying to find us. But
seriously, I would so much prefer that he'd be dead.
Well, on that note.
Yeah, on that note, let's end the show.
I think so, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you once again. Follow us online. Go to statesmanpodcast.com to listen to everything else. It's all right there.
And, listeners, thank you for hanging with us, whether it was through one episode, specifically episode 1, and then you stopped, or if you just picked it up here and there, or if you listen to every single one. It doesn't make a difference to us. We really, really appreciate you and your time and your support and all of the lovely messages. Chris Leonard.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We had an unopened email in our inbox when we were collecting all these voicemails, and we can't read it aloud on the show this time. We are heading out, but we do appreciate you so much, and we love you.
I love you, Chris.
And all of us love you more than Stu loves you.
Okay.
We've all mutually decided that.
That's true.
But anyway, Chris, we love you specifically, but every single listener, we appreciate you. Every single guest, thank you for your time and for everything. Tim, Stu, Camden, thank you for all of your hard work. And Jackie Dice, stay the fuck away from me.
Yeah. Guys, great job doing this podcast. I wouldn't have done it with anybody else. And I'm proud. I'm proud of all of us. I think we did a really good job.
One last time, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at I'm a Rossi. You should definitely follow me there. Hopefully, whatever project I'm working on next, you'll find it there.
Yeah, you can follow me online at Stuart Highcar, StuartHicar, like you're saying hi to a car. Obviously, my Instagram, since the beginning of this thing, has leaps and bounds. They've had to change the platform to actually handle the amount of likes I'm getting. So, go check that out if you're not already following. But again, I would just absolutely implore you to follow or go to statesmanpodcast.com and check it out and look around and listen to some backlog. But Camden, how about you?
At CamStacy _ on Twitter and Instagram. That's CamStacey_.
You can follow me on Instagram at YoungGarlic, YUNG_garlic, or on Twitter at InfectedButt, infected_BUTT. And on behalf of my junior statesman, Anthony Rossi and Stuart Highcar, and our producer, Camden Stacy, I'm your elder statesman, Tim Ferrari. State positive.
Well, like my daddy used to say, when you purchase a piece of land, that's a good buy.
Bye. I love you.
All right. I love you too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Love you.
Bye.
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 Love you. Bye.
Goodbye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
And Camden, say
Guys,
bye.
Okay, bye.
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 Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay, for real. Bye.
Bye. Okay, that's it. Bye.
All right, one more time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Wait, maybe we say it all in unison one time, just so it's like finite.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Goodbye.
Bye.
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 Guys.
Goodbye.
Sorry. Bye.
Bye.
All right, I'm stopping recording.
Okay, me too. Bye.